Hi, I'm Nicolette Gibson, Executive Director of MOCAPE, the Missouri chapter for the Council of American Private Education.
My name is Al Freeman, and I currently serve as president of MOCAPE. I serve also as director of Lutheran schools for the Missouri district.
Our schools are located in urban areas and suburban areas and rural areas. We have large schools, small schools.
What has happened to the economy immensely impacts all of our schools. Obviously, we can't deliver education without revenue from tuition coming in. Tuition makes up just a portion of the overall revenue that's coming in. So a lot of the dollars to operate schools are not coming from tuition revenue, but rather support from other entities or donors that add to that as well. So all of that is hit at one time. As our schools move forward, our concerns are around solidifying enrollment, preparations for next school year, and what that will look like in terms of finances coming in, financial support from parishes and congregations, from donors that perhaps have seen their stock market investments plunge a great deal, and the unknown that brings, and how do we solidify our schools to make sure that we're able to do what we do each and every day.
What we are anticipating is a decrease in enrollment, and that will impact our communities. It will impact those students' lives to leave their school, but will also impact our schools' abilities to stay open.
It impacts public schools too, right? Because if our students leave, if our families leave our non-public schools for the public school, all of a sudden it increases the cost to those public schools as well.
We definitely don't want to add stress to families right now by having to transition students out of our schools because they can't afford the tuition. And so at a time where our families are most in need, as you've said, our churches have been closed now for several weeks. That impacts contributions to the church. Foundations had to cancel their fundraisers. Our schools had to cancel spring fundraisers as well.
Mhm.
And so there isn't a lot of reserve because our schools run on a pretty tight budget as it is.
Most of our schools keep the tuition rates fairly low. It's not what covers the cost to educate a child. So there's so many layers to that financial puzzle. So all of our schools will have to look at that and continue to seek ways to financially help families to continue to attend our schools.
I think the average tuition for a K to 8 school, private school in our state right now is between $3,000 and $5,000, which is nowhere near the cost to educate a student. The cost to educate students for the state for in a public school is around $11,000. Sometimes people have this misconception that people that attend private schools are wealthy and they pay a high tuition rate. And sometimes that is the case, but more often than not, we have students who are paying a modest tuition to offset the cost of their education. In some of our schools, we still have tithe-based tuition, where if you're supporting your church through your tithe, then your children can attend to that private school without additional tuition cost.
There are a lot of unknowns. Some of the tools that we're using right now that companies have stepped up and offered for free, like Zoom, to help out teachers at this point in time, probably will not be free next year. The schools will have to figure out a way, how do we pay for these resources if we have to transition once again to an e-learning format or at home, modified learning format in some way.
Those technology resources are definitely at some point going to cost, and we need to start preparing for that. Cleaning our schools and the increased cleaning that's going to be necessary when we do reopen, whether that's, increased staff to maintain those cleaning standards for our students, to keep our students and teachers safe, increased training for our teachers on how to keep themselves and their students safe. As our community continues to deal with this, we may have teachers or students that are out of school for extended periods of time. So we're looking at an increase in need for substitute teachers and ways to help students if they're gone from school for extended periods of time as well.
Professional development. I think a lot of people will be doing professional development on e-learning and how to deliver in this new format in an effective way.
All of our students and parents and teachers have been deeply impacted by this, and there is going to be an increase in anxiety. And how do we prepare for that and prepare our schools to be a place where we can support teachers and students and families and give them the cushion and the love and support and tools that they need to really effectively deal with all of the many emotions that they're going to be feeling as we return in whatever capacity.
which is an increased cost factor as well.
Absolutely.
A lot of our schools will be looking to bring in individuals that are therapists or school counselors and such to care for teachers and the students and the community as well. Something our schools excel at, personalized learning,
Yeah.
knowing each child, knowing the needs and caring for those needs. And again, it's never perfect, but we're always approaching trying to meet excellence at all times.
If somebody's watching this and they want to support our schools, now is the time to do so, because our scholarships and our schools are going to need that additional support